You're listening to the Bombad Generals.
General? Oh.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bombadanza Generals. It's me, I'm back. I'm sure everyone missed me a lot. Yeah, thank you.
I missed
you didn't like just hanging out with Brian?
Oh no,
last
Brian's
week?
Awesome. He's a great guy, but
Yeah.
I didn't start a podcast with Brian, so
Yeah, much like every other one of our podcasts, I have not listened to it, but that's not going to stop me from having opinions about what you guys said, because you did send me the tier list you guys made for Rebels, and I think you guys were a little generous. I agree with, Pike Capo S tier, sure, Cassian A tier, yep. Sabine and K2SO in the B tier. They trash. They're both trash. So I can't really get behind that. But overall, actually, pretty good. You did my boy Chewie terrible. Putting him in the same tier as Sabine and K2. Chewie is straight S tier, baby.
I thought he was at
Rebels.
least A tier, but I think he's.
Oh, so you caved. That's what you're saying.
I did, because
Okay.
I'm not a Rebel player, so I was like,
That's
you know
fair.
what?
That's fair. And, let the guests do their thing. But now Brian's gone, and we can talk behind his back. And yeah, that's a bad call. Rebel Chewie is awesome. Having a wound sponge is fantastic. If I could take Rebel Chewie in every other faction, he probably would be in most lists I build.
And I think the last week what talked about is that, like, it's a wound sponge, but he's also, like, a threat for bounty. Like,
Yep. Sure. He's also he does some anti-armor stuff. I had a game a while back where he finished off 2 different heavies. That was a great game.
I mean, hey, that's almost what happened. We'll talk about that next episode, but almost what happened with my Chewbacca in Republic. So,
and real quick, we forgot you guys forgot to do Rebel Boba because he's
so forgettable.
Not a bounty hunter, but we were skipping bounty hunters, but obviously, whoops. So we can do that real quick. Honestly, I make fun of Rebel Boba, but given how trash Rebels are right now,
he's got great command cards.
He's got a bunch of great command cards. I would almost put him in A tier. Like, if we're putting Cassian in A tier, I guess I'd put Rebel Boba in A tier.
Yeah,
I think it's important to recognize for me that, this is Rebel tier list. A Rebel A tier does not necessarily correlate to, like, we put, Jedi tier lists. Anakin was in A tier. Like, there's no, like, they're different scales
for sure.
here. But yeah, like Rebel Boba, I like to make fun of him. He's supremely inferior to Empire Boba because he's in the Rebel faction. But so be it. So overall, good job.
Thanks, Matt.
And we should also, before we get into the meat of this episode, note that because of life stuff, mostly on my end, I'm moving over to Europe and will be 7 hours ahead of Seth for a little bit, and just haven't been able to focus as much on Legion as part of that. We're just kind of slowing down our release schedule, so we'll still be trying to bring regular content, but moving to more like once every couple of weeks is the plan.
Absolutely, yeah. So it'd be good content, good meaty content, just not as regular.
Less filler, hopefully. If we tried to stay with a weekly content, I think it would be diluted.
For sure.
As opposed to right now, where it's top tier, the best you could ever want for distilled content.
Absolutely.
And speaking of that, why not do what everyone else is doing right now, which is recapping Mini Stravaganza?
Yeah, what else is there to do when talking about Legion news?
So, they revealed a lot of stuff, but I think it's important to say, like, a lot of it's coming next year. We're pretty much getting no new plastic this year. So, as far as meta shakeups, it really comes down to the battle forces and how much they're going to shake up the meta.
Yep.
At least in a pre-Worlds. Like, I think a lot of this stuff, I wasn't watching the streams, but from what I understand, is coming out after Worlds. next year. So if we're thinking the time horizon from now to Worlds, we're probably not getting another balance update, I would think. We're probably just getting, from what I heard and saw, Geonosians and these battle forces. So
which
are they going to be a factor?
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with like not having a meta shakeup until after Worlds.
You're not a fan of changing everything about the game?
A few months before
2 months before Worlds?
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that. Hopefully that never happens again.
Yeah.
So, but there are things that are changing now mid-season through for the meta, and that is new battle forces. Let's talk about this first one, the Wookiee. What is it? The Wookiee Defenders or the Wookiee Battle Force?
Starting with Gar.
Boom, Gar.
As the Gar guy. I like it. We were wanting new battle forces. I think this is great. You know,
I think this was this was one of the first battle forces I think that was actually announced, and I think it was supposed to come out like with the Wookiee, like the Kashyyyk wave, but it never happened.
I've heard rumors that was supposed to be the first battle force. So we're getting it 2 years delayed-ish at this point. That's fine.
That's okay.
You're starting right off with our lists. I feel like we should talk about what makes this thing different first. Okay. I guess the people who are watching got a little sneak preview there, but that's fine. It's what you would expect on Kashyyyk. It's got Yoda, Chewie, Wookiees, Wookiee Chieftain. You can take one ARC Trooper. You can take a couple Phase 2 clones. You can take one BARC, one ISP, one Saber Tank. But the rank requirements are pretty much what you would expect on a normal list. Yeah. The exceptions being you can do 4 special forces and only 1 heavy. And the Wookiee noble fighters, so the melee Wookiees, count as core for the purposes of army building and battle cards.
Which is cool.
Yeah. It means you can take 6 stabby Wookiees and 4 shooty Wookiees. Now, good luck fitting that in a list. And you have to take at least 3 Wookiees, but that should be no problem. And the first time a miniature in each Wookiee unit is defeated, every round, they get a speed 1 move. So you shoot a Wookiee off the board. The first time, that turn, for that unit gets to make a speed 1 move. What do you think, Seth, as our resident Wookiee aficionado?
So, I ran Wookiees before the CRB, and I loved Wookiees before the CRB. I think this Battle Force struggles with the CRB rules changes that the Wookiee had. I think, the speed 1 move is nice, but with only because Wookiees are so expensive, like, I think you're going to struggle with, once you remove a model and you get a speed 1 move, like, your attack dice pool is already 1/3 gone right there because you're mostly going to run naked. Wookiees right there. So, like, I think it would really shine with Yoda, but it's just too expensive with Yoda. You'd have to drop down to like a 7/6 act click list, and it's like it's just not viable. I wish they did what they did for like the other factions of like making not as strong Wookiee unit, but like cheaper, so that you could spam more Wookiees. Like having another one specific for this battle force, maybe like a 2 wound Wookiee unit or something. I don't know, something to where like you could spam more Wookiees and get easier to like 9-10 acts and run a lot of like Chewbacca's.
That's the thing with this. I mean, with both battle forces, we'll look at the droids one too. There's not a lot of cheap filler acts. Yeah, and that's kind of normal in battle forces, but at least HRUs and speeder bikes were like, speeder bikes are 74. HRUs were like extremely undercosted for what they do. And you could take naked storms or naked snows. No one would take naked storms because that's going to use up your 2 slots for HRU, but naked snows for 44 and an Imperial officer for 45 points at the time. There's not really anything like that in these battle forces. So if you're taking a 200 point unit, you are skimping other places. And sure, you can we think of Wookiees, there are a lot of wounds, but for their cost and for their range, it's tough. It is. but we tried our hand at making a couple lists to kind of explore and to get a feel for it. Mm-hmm. And I think, did we both start by just putting Yoda in there and then trying?
Yeah, I tried putting Yoda in there. And
I also tried. At first, I thought, hey, I've been playing Yoda full arcs. What if I did Yoda with 4 shooty wooks? And I instantly realized that's not going to work.
Nope.
Not at all. So I figured, we get a weird version of the Fluttercraft. It costs 2 more points and essentially just gets an ability that it can change its speed at the start of the activation.
Which is cool.
Which is cool. Like, I mean, being able to go speed 3 and, run some people down with the Bombardier, and then once you're in, go down to speed 1 so that you can stay running over people. Yep. That's really nice.
It is.
Or if you're trying to do the butt gunner, it helps when you can modulate your speed, because you're kind of doing weird dance maneuvers with those guys anyways. So I figured, hey, if I can't... it's kind of tough to win a gunfight, because it's just... You have to close so quickly, so fast with, a lot of white saves, and there's a lot of firepower. So I wanted that objective flex. So I put 3 NASPs with the gunner, 6 Wookiee warriors with tenacity and recon. So you kind of get that double whammy. Hey, if you kill me, then I'm going to get a move, and I'm going to still get extra dice for it. And then the chieftain with tenacity, push, and recon. Coming in 792, 10 acts. So you've got a bit of a bid to get your battle deck, and 10 acts, so you can play breakthrough pretty decently. You can play bombing run, and then probably, I don't know, intercept is something you're looking at, and maybe payload, though payload still worries me these days. Yeah, because it's so table dependent, and this list honestly is table dependent as well. Mm-hmm. You get an open table. We're trying to overwhelm with numbers, but it's tough because you can't put Boyle in, and Chewie doesn't Guardian his core. And at the end of the day, they're still white saves. How sad. Yeah. So it'll be tricky. I'm definitely gonna try this out. Like, I think it'll be fun. Hey, I'm packing, and at one point I was thinking, hey, should I take my Fluttercraft? They're so spindly. Should I just leave them at home? And I said, no, I'm gonna. This could be a thing, This new battle force is helping out Fluttercraft, so I am taking them. So I'm I'm putting my money where my mouth is. But good. I'm a little nervous about how well this can stand up. It could just get shot off the board with the dice pools we have these days. Yeah. So we'll see. It's a bunch of 3-man Wookiee units. Which is just like 6 wounds. I mean, no, it's 9 wounds. I mean, it's still 9 wounds, so like it's really hard to push. Yes. That's the thing, and it's 9 times 6, so you're looking at 54 wounds of Wookiees. Yeah. I think in total it's like 74 wounds. If half of them hit, they're still rolling, 6 black with duelist. So it's not terrible. I think if you're running naked Wookiees, like, you got to take tenacity. Like, that's just a given. Yeah. So, and I think you kind of have to lean in to the naked Wookiees with this battle force, because again, you just don't have the activations. Naked defenders are really bad, like the shooty Wooks. Yeah, don't bring them. And if you put a gun on them, the Pierce gun, now you're looking at 103, and that's a lot for a dice pool that's kind of random. And my experience running them before was, as soon as you lose one guy, you're kind of hooped. It hurts a lot, and you don't have Force Barrier Yoda to protect them because he's just too expensive. Well, also you don't have as much like objective play. Yeah, and if you're not taking Yoda, then you're probably not taking Chewie, which means you're putting the Wookiee Chieftain in, and we just talked about our tier list. Where did we put the Wookiee Chieftain? D tier. Not great. Low, but very low. He still brings all the Wookiee command cards. Yep. And when you have 6 other Wookiees that are getting shot at, maybe it's okay. Maybe. But that's enough about me. How did you approach it, Seth, after realizing Yoda was too expensive? So I approached it a little bit different, to where I actually brought... Hold on, let me pull it up here real fast. So kind of the similar concept of you, where you like brought more...
I apologize. My mind's like everywhere right now. Okay.
This guy.
This guy. Okay. So brought the Wookiee Chieftain. I brought 4 naked Wookiee warriors with tenacity and recon intel, and then I actually brought 3 Kashyyyk, the shooty wooks, with the bowcaster, just to bring gun line because sharpshooter is still really good because in this heavy cover economy, and then 1 bark speeder. So it's not as much objective play. The 1 bark speeder is simply there for a 55-point activation. Like you could switch that to the Fluttercraft, but
you gotta find points somewhere.
Yeah, it's 2 more points. You just won't bring like any of the heavies or upgrades with it.
But naked Fluttercraft is not good.
Yeah, you're not. I would rather bring a naked bark than a naked Fluttercraft. So,
I mean, technically speaking, you can still bring. Can you still bring regular Fluttercraft? I think you can. So if you really wanted and didn't care about the attack run ability to modulate speed, I think you could just take a 55-point regular Fluttercraft for the same cost, but don't. Absolutely. But you could. Again, Wookiee Chieftain. Here we go.
Chieftain.
Mike Dashes has shown with 501st that a single naked bark can be kind of useful. Yeah. You know, it's got a spot. I think
it's tough. It's you don't have fire support in this list, so. That's a little bit tougher to where like the 501st bark does have fire support.
I was thinking about using some of my phase 2 slots on fire support, and putting phase 2s in with Z6s, but then you don't have a clone commander to direct them. They're expensive, so I didn't. I think both of us importantly had range 3 guns. For me it was the Flutters and the Chieftain. For you it was the Chieftain and the shooty guys and the bark. You gotta have those so that people don't just sit and stand by.
Yeah.
Right? So
that'd be very important.
Important things to think about. If you say, hey, I'm just gonna load up on, shields and whatever and have like 1 or 2 units that shoot range 3, you might have a really bad time.
I would have a bad time. I would not have a fun time. All right, let's move on to the next battle force.
Droids. Experimental
droids. Cool name. I like it. So, special rules with this one, which is very unique. So, first of all, there's a new unit, the prototype assassin droid for the Magna Guards. We'll get to that more here in a little bit. But at the start of each activation phase, choose up to 1 of your commander units. If you do, put 3 search tokens on that unit card. Once during its activation, a friendly Special Forces Corps or support that has the AI keyword may perform a free action and spend 1 of the search tokens on that. So you get pretty much 3 free actions every turn, which is really nice.
I don't know if you saw the forum post for this one.
Oh, I did not.
Those tokens do not go away at the end of a turn.
Oh.
They have ruled. So turn 1, maybe you don't really need them. You bank 3 surge tokens on your card. Next turn, you get 3 more. Now you've got 6. So you're kind of... We'll see with our list concepts. We went in very similar ways. But you can kind of then maybe use 4 a turn from there on out. And you'll have a few turns where you can use a lot of them. More than 3. So you can stockpile. Which is very interesting. So you can
stockpile to like turn 6 on like KP and just like go ham.
You could, but you can still only use it once per activation. So that's the thing.
Once during, okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's
so maybe stockpile for 3 turns, have 9 of these, and then start turn 4 with 12, and then you just go wham on them.
Wow.
Everyone gets to do things.
That's nice.
It's possible. If you're playing a cagey game. And of course, and the important thing is heavies cannot use that, and commanders cannot use that. And they must have the AI keyword, which means if you have played T-Series, put T-Series on your B2s, because B2s are legal, they will not get to benefit from this.
Correct. So any of the actions they can do is increase their speed by 1 during the next move, gain an aim or dodge token, add 1 black die and 1 white die to their next attack pool, and remove up to 2 suppression tokens.
some really good effects.
Yeah, that's adding dice is really good. It's increasing your speed is really good. Oh man, suppression tokens is probably going to be the one that's like least utilized.
I would think so, yeah.
And gain, an aim, and a dodge are also just, hey, like it's just a free aim or dodge, so that's nice. Man, turn 0 tokens. Well, no, that isn't turn 0, but
yeah.
Free tokens, man.
Free actions, free tokens are good.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
This would be really good for like hostage exchange, because you can just keep increasing their speed.
Yeah. Just keep moving speed too.
Yeah.
With the how is the hostage worded actually?
It's just decrease their speed by 1.
Right. That's what I was checking. It was not a set.
No, because like Mandos are speed 2.
You just increase the speed to 3 and then it gets decreased. Reduce maximum speed by 1. So run away with the hostage, which is good because they don't really have a good speeder unit in this battle force for objective flex.
Yeah. So you bring hostage. I think Sabs could be good with this. Running in like a higher axe, of course, like bodies.
So do we want to bring up a picture? I think there's 2 new units. We don't have to spend a lot of time on the second one. The snail tank. Neither of us put it on our lists. I still don't think it has a great role.
Yeah.
But the Magna Guards are interesting. I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, these are just worse Magna Guards." But I mean, I don't. Yes, they're worse. They're cheaper. How does it balance? But they're also spammable. So. With funky abilities. So the Magnas they still have AI dodge move, they still have charge, immune, pierce, and melee. They're still unhindered natively. But they're only 1 health. They are 4 bodies in a basic squad. And base 60. And they lose surge to hit, and their melee goes from black to black-white. So a pretty big offensive output decrease.
Yeah, they're no longer like a support guardian unit and more of just like a punching bag.
Right, yeah, no retinue either. So they're not.
Yep.
These are not your granddaddy's Magnas. These are the experimental weaker versions, and they are weaker. The heavies are still costed the same. So if you want to take a heavy, you're not getting a discount on that because now it's only 1 wound. But still, it's spammable.
Decent.
Red save core.
Yeah.
It's spammable.
Like this is something I wish like the Wookiees had. Like spammable core. That is cheaper. So
I think I'm not convinced that they're better or worse, but I'm not ready to write them off. I think we've seen someone like Austin Miller cleaning up with triple Magna lists in CIS. Now this, you can't take heroes in the same way, but if you can spam Magnas, it might still be really, really good.
I mean, hey, immune to pierce with unhindered and charge is still very good.
When you can make a speed 3 move, or you can hit their lines and then have 6 of them essentially, because if you still have the fresh 5-man squad plus 1 black and a white from the ability that we just talked about. I mean, 6 black, 6 white. Now they still have AI, which kind of sucks, but I think there's potential
now, Here's the question: Can you use your AI to one of those surge tokens to get a dodge as a free action, and that's your AI?
No, because AI is using your first action on your turn.
Not a free action.
Yeah, so you can't. And it's not AI just get a dodge from some reason. It's take a dodge action or do a move action, unfortunately. Dang. But you could still get an aim if you're in melee and you're like, hey, I just want an aim instead of two dice. Not bad.
That's true.
Not bad.
Yeah. Well, you can move for your AI action and have charge still. So
yeah. On the approach, you don't really care about AI. You're just moving.
Yep.
I think they are, out of all these new battle forces, this is the thing. If I had to bet on one thing, it's spammable Magna Guard being the big thing from this wave, because it's red save. It's red save spamming, which we have seen be very effective.
Yes. which is
exactly. And then the snail gets like arsenal and loses transport and whatever. You guys can read what it does.
Cares about the snail.
It doesn't have a great role, and it's hard to spend 150 plus on a unit like that in a battle force where your cheapest you get a T series, so you can put a 55 point activation in, and you can put a couple B1s, so it's got the upper hand there, but it's still kind of struggling for an identity.
Yeah. Let's go through the list that we made.
Yes.
So we both made a list for this. Let's do yours first.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Before we move on, though, I will just mention the rank requirements for that battle force identical.
Yes. Yep.
Just no operatives because they can't take any operatives.
And you can only bring max 2 B1s and max 2 B2s.
Yes, but you can still take 6 core, where Magnus count as core.
Yes.
So we'll start with mine, and I basically went in very similar directions. I started with Kalani because Kalani's awesome, and then decided, nah, that's not going to be enough. I wanted to get to 10x still. Again, lower activation armies can help, especially when you have or can succeed these days. When you don't have flashy characters, I'm a little more concerned about low X. But we've got T-Series who can direct to 2 B1s with med droids, with repair bots. And then those B1s can coordinate up the chain to 4 Magna Guards you've got around there. So that's pretty nice. Ending on only one of them, of course, but hey, command cards for the rest. Essentially, that means... Or they could coordinate back to the T-Series, which leaves you with a bag of 7 special forces. Because, again... Magnus count for core in list building and on battle cards, but not the actual token. So you have you have the droid perfect order control, despite having 4 Magna Guards and 3 commando droids. So because they're still expensive, I just went with the extra body and tenacity. It would be nice to still have the rocket because spammable crit 1. Range 4 rocket. Impact 2 is pretty nice.
Especially, there's a lot of heavies going around right now, so...
They're not as good as the Magnas, again, that we're used to, because you can't, like, double aim. We're used to that with Retinue, to force, like, 2 crits through per shot, but still. I didn't go with the rocket, because it's 34 points, I think, so that's 12 points more expensive than the extra body. So we've got 20 Magna Guard bodies with tenacity charging the lines, backed up by 4 repair charges on perfect order control, so you can spend them late. And then additionally, we've got 3 full commandos because you can't take strike teams with snipers, who I'm seeing now 94 points. Oof. Okay, but
oof indeed.
They're there again to knock off standbys, and Sharpshooter 1, double red, lethal. Hey, lethal when you can get aims from your T-Series. Not bad.
I mean, your range 3 pool is not bad either. Like, it's a decent range 3, annoyance.
It's what Pathfinders wish they could throw. Actually having a decent heavy and Sharpshooter 1. So,
yes.
I think this is going to take the world by storm? Not necessarily. It's hard to judge with efficiency lists, I find. Because you look at them and it's like, yeah, that's pretty efficient, but you don't know, like, does it fall on the good enough side of the efficiency line or the just not quite good enough side of the pure efficiency line? And then what did you do, Seth?
Who knows? So same concept of where I went Kalani. So I actually did put Kalani in there. No upgrades on Kalani. 2 B1 battle droids with the E5S. So I do have some range 4 poke. That's what you said to get the standbys off. That's what I have. And then I went 4 Magna Guards, not with tenacity, but they all do have the RPS. So they all have rockets. So my range 4 pool is still pretty good.
Yep. Your range 2 pool is not bad. Like, that's the thing with these Magnas, their melee and their ranged is actually kind of identical. So if you just sit at range 2 now instead with crit 1, that's pretty nice.
Yep. And then I got 3 BX droids, commandos, all with vibra swords. So it's like a lot of melee threats as well going in, as long as it's like a bunch of like range 4 and range 3 gunline hybrid with that.
I like that.
And I went with the vibra swords more than the snipers because I didn't want to invest more points into the commandos.
Yeah, because they're pretty expensive. And I do like the concept that the BX droids are, your melee threats in this list are the ones with Scout 3. For me, they don't. The Magnas are starting in the back with their melee, and the BXs are starting up the field with their guns. You've reversed it, which makes a little more sense. So a speed 3 Scout, and then maybe turn 1, getting another speed 3 move with scale, so essentially they have unhindered, and then a speed 2 move. That's a long way across the battlefield.
That is a long way. Yeah, it is. Plus they have charge, so that's really helpful, and they can also get an aim if you're not using the speed 3 move.
Yeah, and you have the flex in this list to just sit there with your 4 Magna Guards getting pumped a bunch of tokens from Kalani and just go pew 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 pew. I have red saves,
and they're still good good linebacker units. Like I don't think an Inquisitor is going to jump into 4 Magna Guards.
What Inquisitors? What?
Whoa!
We'll get there.
That's next year.
So yeah, that's our quick kind of. Hey, what can we maybe expect to see, popping up at store champs? You could see some crazy stuff. This is neither of us. I guess we're both GAR players, but I don't have enough Wookiees painted up yet to start running something like this. Neither of us are droids players, so it's quite possible we missed something so far. We're a week in. There's going to be a lot of experimentation.
Yeah.
But quick thoughts right now. Do we see it? Do we see these battle forces making a name for themselves at store champs, majors over the next, 4 or 5 months?
I don't think the Wookiees, I don't see that happening. But the experimental droids, I think there is... there's a good backbone there that I think could have some potential. I don't think it's going to be something like a Blizzard Force, Battle Force, to where it like dominates the meta and half of the people at Worlds bring it. But I could see it. I could see that winning like a store champ or something.
I think I agree there. I think the Wookiees competitively are not going to make a huge splash, and then the droids here and there. There's so many store champs. I'm sure both will win some. But I think we're going to see maybe at a major or something or two, some really good placements from this droid list. If the Spider meta taught us anything, droid players are fine with playing bland, efficient lists. They're okay with that. That's their bread and butter.
It's like that's what they get off on, Yeah. Just efficiency.
They're just robots who like the robots, so they're just like, all right, aim, shoot, yep. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so boring.
Yeah, we'll talk next week. We'll talk a bit about some not boring Yoda stuff that we've been doing. But for today, we must continue because there's more from Mini Stravaganza.
Well, speaking of droids boring, I think let's go to this next unit where I think it actually brings the non-efficiency brain to the droids.
It brings
which
tricks.
Is the Geonosians.
Yeah.
It brings tricks, which I love tricks. I think tricks on a core unit I think is really good. Let's start off with the core unit.
Let's look at these bad boys.
Warriors. Oh my gosh. First of all, the models.
Oh,
beautiful.
Good.
Beautiful. Easy to paint.
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, they're aliens, so you can just honestly do whatever you want, and I think they would work well.
I think they could be. They're the kind of models that you could knock out really quickly with like some contrast paint or something, or be models that you take forever to do because there's so much going on.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. Well, let's talk through this unit card, which is 45 points. Oh man.
Okay.
Poor. That's cheaper than any of the Republic's.
Yeah. I don't know. As someone who played Rebels for a lot of Rebels for a long time, I look at 45 points. I'm like, ooh, expensive premium core.
Yeah. Well, with all these keywords, a free jump 3 action with scale. New keyword, Death from Above. When this unit attacks, it ignores cover if the unit's leader is overlapping a piece of non-area terrain of greater height than the terrain of the defending unit's leader is overlapping.
Yeah, so basically it's trying to say, hey, if you're higher up, you get to ignore their cover. Now,
pretty much.
This is reminder text, so there's a few things that are not clear. As such, what if they're overlapping the battlefield? If I'm on height 1 terrain and they're on the battlefield, they're not overlapping any terrain. So what does that count for? But also, it doesn't say, height 1 is a 6-inch range band. So let's say, it doesn't count the battlefield. Okay, this is not especially useful a lot of the time if your enemy has to be standing on terrain. But alternatively, if they don't have to be standing on terrain, then you could be literally on something that's, an inch thick, because technically that's height 1 terrain. Height 1 is anything up to 6 inches. So then you could just stand on that and, like a few boxes that are supposed to be like a barricade. And you just need a spot for your leader to sit. So
we'll see.
This could be a busted keyword, or this could be a whatever keyword, or somewhere in between.
Yeah. Hopefully it's somewhere in between.
But they've got free jump 3, so they will have no problem getting on top of terrain.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
And then their last keyword is way down, and while they have a claimed objective token, they cannot use the jump keyword.
Thank goodness we cannot have triple moves.
There was some balance there. Then there's a heavy slot and a personnel slot.
Yeah.
They're white dice for defense. 1 health, 1 courage, no surge on offense, but surging on defense. Sonic blasters range 1 to 2. So that's another balancing thing. They shoot short range, a black and white, and then spears melee.
Do you have the picture of those ones?
Which ones?
The upgrades.
Yes.
Yeah. Critically, I do want to also mention that these guys are not mercenaries. They are separatist true and true, which means you don't have to worry about mercenary rules. You can put 6 core in a list because they are true separatists.
I love.
It's good.
I love that. Yes. So you have the 3 different. You have of course, the generic Geonosian warrior, 11 points, just add a miniature. The Force Pike warrior, which is a melee red and black, and it's a suppressive keyword, so melee and suppression. When this unit performs a move action, you may flip this card before placing the movement tool. And I don't know if we know.
They hinted on the other side that it's it might have to do with overrun.
Okay.
So that sounds potentially crazy, depending on what kind of overrun, because overrun doesn't interact with your regular attack. So you could get overrun attacks, flip this card back, stab someone. It could be interesting.
Yep. And then the other heavy is 25 points, and it is a range 1 to 2. It's your Sonic cannon. It's a red, a black, and a white, and it's scatter and impact 1.
So that on the core is 70 points for a 5-man range 2 squad that can triple move, or essentially they can like double move and still attack, or move, aim, attack. They've got all sorts of options. They can attack and then double move away, and scatter on a spammable scatter. That makes up for them being kind of short ranged, right? Just one has to get in there, scatter an activated unit forwards, and then the rest can kind of get to range more easily. So,
yeah,
25 is not bad for a heavy weapon. Now it's a range 2 heavy weapon, but yeah, it's
range 2.
It's good.
Yeah, it's all right. I think I could probably see more the overrun keyword, because the other heavy is 15 points.
It is, 15 points. And I mean, you could do that.
So you're going from 70 to 60.
And with 15 plus 11 for the extra body. So you could do a 6-man squad with, an aggro focus rather than doing a 5-man squad that kind of sits at range.
Yeah.
It's interesting. we're getting a lot more short range stuff between both the battle forces are kind of more aggro, short ranged. We've got Ewoks, obviously. So that's the thing. They're Rebel Trooper defenses, right? And I don't really want to charge my Rebel Troopers in there right now, especially if anyone has an answer for Wookiees charging their lines, or Magna Guards charging their lines, or Ewoks charging their lines, they're going to have an answer for Geonosians charging their lines. So that's what makes me hesitant about the Spear guy.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I think where Geonosians really shine is with their commanders and their command cards. Which let's talk about those.
There you go, King of Transitions today. I like it.
King of Transitions. I'll take it. Okay, so they only have one commander, and then they have an operative. So the operative is Sunfac. 90 points, again, a free jump 3 action. That's so good. It's the first trooper unit with cover 1, just on him. Again, he has death from above. An operative with direct Geonosian warrior. And then retinue with Poggle, and then it also has scale and weigh down for that. And then it has a training upgrade, a comms upgrade, and a gear upgrade. Again, this is white dice, 5 wounds. 5 wound white dice.
We were talking about Chewie bounty target, Sunfac bounty target. Ooh.
Yes, that's almost as bad as like I think this is even worse than like what is it, R2, because R2 there's a potential you can't even shoot R2. Which Sunfac is only cover 1, where like who cares, all your bounty hunters have sharpshooter pretty much.
Yep.
Anyways,
but
speed 2,
he gets free dodges
hit.
if he wants them.
Yeah, surge to hit, surge to defense. This is a 3. It is a 3 range 3 gun. It's a red, a black, and a white suppressive, and the 4 spike is 2 red and a black, pierce 1. Terrible range 3 pool, because you're going to be shooting in heavy cover unless you get death from above.
That's the thing, yeah. How highly do you value direct Geonosian warrior? I feel like it's not
needed.
Not like they're not units. They're not fire supporting. You're not starting coordinate chains. Having an extra order out there is nice, but it's not all that fancy.
You talk about coordinate. Let's touch on command cards in the future.
Okay. True. There is. But I do think it's, if you send one guy up aggressively, maybe at the end of the prior turn, it does help to be able to say, hey, whatever command card I play, I can direct them. They can get an order, go quickly, go, get back. Or I can hold one guy late in the turn to make a dive. So it's not, hey, look, I'd pay for direct in Empire or Rebels for sure. And I feel like these Geonosians will make CIS feel more like Rebels. They have quite a Rebel feel to them.
I can see that. I can see that. Cool. Well, then you have Poggle the Lesser, 85 points, 2 command upgrades, comms, and a gear, which I think the comms is interesting. I like that.
Double command slot is interesting. That means you could do,
I like that too,
improv and underworld connections if you want to do like a double bounty list with Boss and Cat.
Yeah. I gotta say, there's one thing that CIS is not lacking in, and that is command upgrades.
Slots. That's true. The super attacks are really good for slots.
Yep.
That's fair.
So this one, Poggle has a free jump 2, which I think jump 2 is, you're gonna see more height 2 stuff instead of height 3.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen a height 3 piece of, that's over a foot tall, right? If it's height 3. So once in a while that distinction will come up, but honestly a lot of tables don't even have height 2 stuff. It's height 1.
Yeah, it's true.
Everything's height 1 for a lot of terrain.
Height 1 or like 1.5 normally.
Well, which is 2. So
yeah,
but
for sure.
I know for me, a lot of my tables used to not, and I was actually making a concerted effort to have more height 2 objects on my tables, and now it's even more important now with the CRB. But that's just to say, like, that was with height 2, so Jump 3 versus Jump 2, who cares, in my opinion. It's not going to matter 99% of the time.
That's what I was thinking, is like, who cares?
Yeah.
It has Compel Separatist Alliance Troopers, so you can compel, like, I could see this more for Geonosian Troopers, like, compelling them. And you have Entourage B2s, which this could see more B2 play. Override 2, and then it also has Way Down. So he throws red defense dice, 4 wounds, 3 courage, surge to hit, does not surge on defense, range 1 to 3 blaster, 2 blacks, and then his melee is 2 blacks, which I don't see you doing a lot of attack actions.
He's not really attacking, and with only 4 health, non-surging red saves, again, bounty target, he's probably wants to hide quite a bit.
Yep.
Entourage is a range 2 bubble, right? Override 2 is a range 2 bubble, so he's fine, just kind of hanging in the back.
I do like his Override and Compel, because it's like he's, no matter if you're a droid trooper with AI or a Geonosian trooper, he can have you do those extra actions or save you from having to do the AI actions.
Courage 3 too, right? So you could override a whole bunch of guys, and you're not losing too many actions. You could just sit and use your action to recover the whole time. Just get
honestly
a bunch of suppression off and get improvised orders back up.
Kind of what like the capo does for like the pikes. Yep. Take an aim and then recover.
He can't token share, and also he's 85 points, so it feels a little bad. But I feel like we'll see his cards. His cards and Entourage B2 make things interesting.
Yeah, his cards are really where he shines. So we'll talk about Sunfac's card first, which is a 1-pip Brutal Enforcer. This only gives orders to Sunfac after the issue's order steps. Up to 2 friendly Geonosian warriors at range 2 of a friendly Sunfac may do a free jump 3. Sunfac gains Agile 1 and Demoralize 1 this keyword. They're bringing a lot of Demoralize into this game. But a 1-pip to get free moves, very good.
But you cannot, because he's giving free moves via jump, if you have like a hostage or something, that's not going to be useful, because a hostage is a objective token. They're not going to be able to use jump. But a free move. Yeah, good. It's good. What can you do at the start of a turn?
This is great. I could see this a lot, because they can do this at the beginning of the turn, and they can come back and do their free jump move if they don't have the objective token. I could see this as like a turn 6 dive into another VAP.
Okay.
Your opponent's VAP.
I see this card more as hey, I move up aggressively late in the turn, get that range 2 shot on you, scatter some guys out, get you out of cover, and now I'm just going to hop back behind the building, and then just do it again later. This turn.
Apologize for that noise.
Oh, sorry. I think I hit my microphone.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm getting really into it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of tricks that you can do, which for core units is really nice. So honestly, for 90 points, this command card, pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty good. Okay, and then we have Poggle's cards, which it's really good, really spicy. Okay, so Poggle's 1-pip. Let the executions begin. This only gives an order to Poggle, so this is where direct comes in play. Is helpful. So during the issue order steps, you may issue up to 2 orders to friendly droid trooper units at range 1. So it gives them direct pretty much. During Poggle the Lesser's activation, friendly non-panic droid troopers at range 1 of Poggle the Lesser gain fire support. Poggle Lesser may make 2 attack actions during his activation.
Yeah. So direct can kind of help, but also at the same thing, it's only during his activation. So even if you direct to get a third guy who has fire support, he's only making 2 attacks when they have fire support. So, and actually one of them was already So, whatever.
It's a decent one. It's not. I don't think it's broken. I know some people were saying that like, oh my gosh, this is like a broken card. It's really good. I'm like, it's not great. Like.
So, like, you're probably putting it on B2s because you're maybe taking B2s with him, and you're using a B2 activation to fire support, and that's a 90-something unit, which is, like, not bad if they're in range 2. But Poggle, as we said, is probably not want to be up in the grill like that.
Yeah.
Because, again, he can make 2 attack actions. They're not free. So he has to be end his prior turn somewhere where he wants to sit, and he has to sit there the entire turn if he takes 2 attack actions. And yeah, you could fire support with a B2 high and get out of cover shots, with blast, but he's sitting there the whole time. This isn't like Yoda who can double attack with a double move.
Correct. And get dodges, like, no. I don't think this card is broken, nor is it great.
Yeah.
It's decent. It's an okay card.
It'll have some moments where it feels awesome, where you just nuke 2 units off the board with a couple big shots.
But if you do that, prepare to have Poggle the Lesser get nuked.
And like, it's really a big tempo thing. I mean, nothing says you have to attack different targets, so you can just double up into one target. If you really need to kill someone, if they've got Yoda coming at your face and they've given you a shot at Yoda, 1 pip, boom, boom, try to take him out. Because if you're not doing that, if you're not trying to really kill something really quickly, he only adds 2 black, so 2 B2 shots on their own activations where they can actually take an action to aim is fairly similar.
You're mainly doing the fire support for his surge to hit. That's pretty much it.
Oh, true. Yeah, you do get the surge to hit. Yeah.
You do get the surge, and that's the main
helps.
thing. Okay, so it's 2 pip going... So a 2 pip giving an order to only 1 unit. A friendly Sun Fact loses direct this round. Friendly Sun Fact and Geonosian Warriors gain coordinate. So actually, the comment I made earlier about direct with coordinate doesn't matter.
True.
Because he loses direct. When a friendly Geonosian Warrior unit with a face-up order begins activation, it gains 1 aim token and... I'm guessing and a dodge token.
I was wondering if it was a surge token. It's hard to say. It's for those who are not viewing, it is cut off on the picture of the head. I don't know if they mentioned this on the stream. I can do a quick look.
They probably did, and I just missed it. I was playing in a tournament during the stream, so
I was packing, so
there we go.
Yeah.
Anyways, even if it's a dodge, let's just say it's a surge because.
Well, no, don't assume it's a surge because that makes them really good attacking.
Oh, that's true.
Well, not really good, but it's a lot. Because again, if you spammed 6 Geonosians, which I probably don't think you're gonna do, but maybe you did. If you spammed 6 Geonosians, that's 6 free aims at the start of the turn.
It's true.
Pretty good.
It's true. So, but this would be a really good card with the spam Geonosian spam. Like, yeah. So, it's a good card. It's decent. It's not game breaking. I don't think. Any thoughts on that?
Nope. No. I think it's fine. I think the 4 pip is the good one. And before we dive into it, I'm so happy that they finally used that design space to make a 4 pip card. That's not standing orders because I've been waiting for this for so long.
Yep. So 4 pip, we make weapons. So it issues orders to 4 Droid Trooper units. And when building a command hand, treat this card as though it has 3 pips. So it does take up a 3 pip slot. When a core trooper unit, droid trooper unit, is issued an order with this card, so only B1s and B2s, it may choose to return its order to the order pool. If it does, you may return a defeated miniature to the unit with no wound tokens and remove 1 suppression token. So that's really good for like B2s.
But with the T series.
With the 2 series specifically, correct? Yes. I mean, hey, it's 4 heals, like if you want,
and it's nice. Not using the restore keyword, right? So they could have died on previous turns, which they kind of have had to because this is a command card. It's happening at the start of the turn. So that's good.
This card I think is really good for like those attrition battles to where you're just doing a lot of poke shots or something. And this just like, all that attrition you just did last turn? Nope. Like bring that back or something. So that's I like that. And I don't think droids really care if it's a 4 pip. I think actually having a 4 pip card is helpful for them because they like to sometimes go last. I see a lot of the times.
Yep.
So, yep.
Yeah, exactly. You do this. I mean, usually when they like to go last, it's earlier in the round.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think this would be like an earlier in round, like round 2.
But have you lost that many?
they-
You probably. The thing is, it kind of has a conflict there, right? Because you probably haven't lost that many B2s.
Yeah.
Right, and maybe it's 4 heals, but that means your opponent was splitting fire, and usually people don't do that. They'll focus down 1 unit at a time, especially something like B2s. So I could see this honestly, as much as it. I'm trying to be careful to not get wowed by the potential of this card, because it's with a lot of cards like this, it's easy to fall into the imagine this best case scenario, and then later you find out that actually doesn't happen all that often, that best case scenario.
I don't think this is a great WoW card, simply because it's droids. Like they're bringing back a droid or a B2. You still have to deal with the problems that B2s and B1s have.
Honestly, Poggle's cards, so we've got kind of like 1 pip, 2 pip. Yeah, pretty good if you go Geonosian spam.
Geonosians,
But then it's like, I don't know if Geonosian spam is really the way. And the 4 pip is pretty potentially good if you're bringing a lot of droids. So there's conflict there. Poggle himself is not doing a lot during his turn. I don't know, for 90 or 85 points. But then if you're not taking Poggle, then you're not getting free tokens on Sunfac. And Sunfac does have a pretty spicy card. I don't know. Geonosians are... I'm hesitant about how effective they'll actually be.
I think they will look really cool on the board. I don't think they will dominate the board.
Especially depending on... They're so table dependent, right? If Death from Above is critical to making them function, and you just don't know what the tables are going to look like. Because there's a lot of tables that don't have a lot of terrain on them, and there are a lot of tables that have decent terrain, or not a lot, and the terrain they do have, you can't really overlap. You can't put a whole unit... Well, I guess, again, you only need a unit leader, but you have to make them in cohesion, so you can't put the whole unit on that piece of terrain.
Yeah.
And is it even in a useful spot where they can then attack something in range 2? Yeah.
Who knows?
They're going to look great, but it's probably not enough for me to buy into to Separatists at this point.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy into them. All right, let's go with the last 2 units that are revealed. We're however
far into this and we haven't done the Inquisitors. Okay.
Yeah, we're 57 minutes in.
We'll keep the saltiness to a low.
To a minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Matt, you want to go through the cards?
You know what? I'm sure we're this far in. People can look at the exact details.
That's true.
Let's hit the highlights.
Accurate.
They're dummy cheap. Fifth Brother is 105 points base.
They're cheaper than all the bounty hunters.
Do you want to know some other things that are 105 points base?
Bosk?
I believe Bosk is. I believe Din is 105 points base.
No, he's 120 base.
No. Din Djarin's one. Well, if you include the jetpack, yeah.
That's right.
He's 105. Technically, he's 105 base points. Din is. I think Lando got changed, but IG-11 is 105. He's, again, trash. Yeah, Lando got changed down to 95. So those are just, some examples of pretty bad units that are 105. But yes, 105 for Fifth Brother, 110 for Seventh Sister. Dummy cheap. You're getting Force Push on a stick for under 120. For less than Naked Sabine costs. Good. Right? We've talked before about how 120, especially with those bounty hunters, is kind of that sweet spot of getting a really good, efficient, non-Force user character. So now you can get a Force user for that price. And sure, they're not Yoda. They're not Anakin. But they're pretty good. I mean, it's Force Push for 115 or 120 points. It's double Force Push for a little bit more than Yoda. And they don't take up both operative slots if you run them together, which means you could still take Boba Fett.
bring an amazing bounty hunter.
Or Vader if you want to really lean into the gimmick.
Yeah.
So just on that level, it seems a little problematic to me. And again, it's an Empire, which is not hurting for good characters these days.
Efficient, cheap characters.
Yeah, good characters in that 120 point range. Pretty much every other faction wishes they had really solid 120 point characters like Empire did. Again, if Sabine was good at her point cost, Rebels would be so happy. But no, Empire gets these. Their command cards do some stuff. They can generate tokens for one another. They get block, so they can actually surge to defend in melee.
Defense. Yep.
Wow, what a concept. What a great thing for a Force user to have.
Oh, man.
She's got Interrogate, so she can increase a new keyword that allows her to increase command card pip values by 1 when she's in range 1 of that unit.
Of the commander.
Yeah.
So
of the person who would that unit's command cards.
It'll be like more a counter for like Force users trying to play like one bit, trying to go first.
Yep, exactly. Or even like someone with a callus or something. They wanted to play his 1 pip and seize a different character. Now that 1 pip is a 2 pip.
Yeah.
I don't think it would affect generic cards because it says that unit's command cards. So Correct. They could still play Ambush or Ploy or something like that. Again, reminder text is all we have, so maybe the full rules are different. So yeah, Inquisitors seem bad. Bad as in bad for those of us who are not running Inquisitors.
Bad for the meta. Yes.
But here's the real bad thing for the metas. Dude, I don't know. Do you want to bring up the card?
I'll bring it up. Yep.
We've talked before about how they just keep chipping away at Force users. And I get it, Force Push is powerful. But it's also, before now, was on very expensive characters. And it was integral to how those characters work. We saw when we have very expensive melee-based characters without Force Push, they are not worth their cost. Like Din, like General Grievous. It's a very important upgrade card. And Inquisitorious Training just says nah. It doesn't guaranteed say nah. But this unit gains
66% chance it says nah.
66% chance. And it gives you Demoralize 1. So it makes Force users not be able to do really standby tricks around you either. Great. Awesome. Love it. When a unit at range 1 exhausts a Force upgrade, you roll a die. If it doesn't, a red die, if it doesn't blank out, the Force thing does nothing and stays exhausted. This is not an expend card. This is not an exhaust card. If you roll up next to Yoda and he tries to Force push you away, you can stop that. Then if he tries to Force reflexes, you can stop that. Then if he tries to
Burst of Speed.
No, Burst of Speed is not an exhaust, so he can actually use that. But it's useless because he's engaged in melee. Then if he later tries to Force Barrier or something, you can exhaust that. You can have 2 of these characters, so that if one blanks, the other guy can try to make it happen. It's my least favorite game design.
This is my
is when the counter to X is more of X.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen. Like side tangent, but I've play tested like open beta, kind of testing a card game a long time ago. And there was this mechanic where you could like make cards kind of invulnerable at some point, and the faction who could do it was also the only faction who could make them not invulnerable again. And you just got this whole thing where people would buff up these cards, make them invulnerable, and if you weren't also playing that, the only way to counter that list, that deck, was to play the same deck, because they were the only ones who could make them invulnerable. So the only way to counter Force Push is with more cheaper Force Push users, and it's just
while also countering
your
the
force push.
expensive force push.
Cheap. You can have cheap force push users countering expensive force push users, and then also get to have your own force push, which is it's
almost a guarantee. Like,
I mean, 66%, 33% things happen all the time, but like, I do think this is going to be harder to use defensively, right? I agree. If Yoda wants to come around and force pull someone into him, he can probably get to a spot to do that where he's beyond range one of your Inquisitors. But then you can just sit beside him and say, okay, you can chop those guys to bits, but that's all you're doing. You're just going to sit there. Or you're going to sit there until I say you leave, because I can still force push you out into 10 standbys. You can't do any of that. If you try to take a standby, I'm going to demoralize it off. If you try to force push, I'm going to say no. And, you know, even though it's a 33% chance to succeed, if you're Yoda, do you want to take, like, you're still kind of you're still kind of screwed, because the idea of the chance that you might succeed is still low. You don't want to risk it. You kind of have to assume that you won't succeed and play like you won't succeed. Yeah. I hate it. Force users are what we like. Tricks. We like force users. We are a pro force user podcast here, and this is like, no, you can't do that. This is now. Is it? We're not going to see no force users. We could still, once these guys come out, we could still see Yoda win events, because we saw someone win worlds who never had to face Dark Troopers, right? You could just not face these guys and succeed, or play a very conservative force user. But it's rough. It's really rough. When paired with, you can get Fifth Brother with this and Force Push for 120, and Seventh Sister for 125. Again, less than Boba, same cost as Sabine. It's wild.
Hopefully, if the powers that be are listening,
they're not listening to us. No one listens to us.
No one listens to us. But I think there's two ways they'll fix this. Bring up the cost of the Force users, of the Inquisitors. Mm-hmm. At least by like 20 points. Yeah. And make this a one-time instance upgrade card. Yeah. I think you do that, I'm happy. I'm like, okay, they can have a 66% chance one time for 5 points.
They want to, I mean, partly I think they want to give them some theme of countering Jedi, and partly they wanted to continue to say F you to Force users. But the idea that some Inquisitor is going to walk up to Yoda and say, I'm going to keep you from using your Force powers, thematically makes not a lot of sense.
No sense.
But yeah, sorry to end on a bad note, guys, but I'm just disappointed.
It is. Yeah. I'm disappointed, not necessarily with people, but with their choices on this design.
Yep. I don't like it. There's so many other things you could do for theme. There's so many other things you can do if you want to rein in Force Push. This is not the way. And yeah, we're not going to see Force Push go anywhere, because again, these guys are going to be running it for dirt cheap. It's simultaneously, do you think Force Push is a problem, or do you think Force Push is not a problem? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yep.
But yeah, we're going to leave it at that. And that is our recap for Mini Extravaganza. So to recap everything quickly, Battle Force, Wookiee, potential in the experimental Battle Force.
Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong.
Please. Yeah. Dude, that'd be cool. I would love to. I'm going to try it out. You know?
Prove us wrong so we can copy and paste it once you've done all the work of showing what the good list is.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. Geonosians, unique. We'll play like Rebels. Poggle, Sunfac, good command card. Yeah. All right. Unit card. Poggle the Lesser kind of conflicts. And we hate Inquisitors.
Yeah. Not thrilled. Yep. And then some other stuff got pictures. Clone Commandos, yay, they'll come at some point, but
We're excited about that, but that's the next year
long
thing.
ways away. Long ways away.
Yes. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yep.
But, you know, for these next few months, we don't have to deal with Inquisitors. So stay positive there and stay Gungan.
This has been the Bombad Generals.
Listening to Bombad Generals is not scientifically proven to make you a better Legion player. Side effects may include bad dice rolls, missed triggers, aim losses, bankruptcy, divorce, vomiting, and sudden death. Ask your doctor if Bombad Generals is right for you.